and I teach in Los Angeles at a studio called Core Power. So we do incorporate heat, like the Bikram series, but it's a shorter class. It's only 60 minutes as opposed to a 90-minute class. And we also incorporate music to it. So it's a really, it can be a spiritual experience if that's what you want to take from the class, or just an aligning of the spirit, a de-stressing of the body, and it just basically helps you turn your mind off so that you can just channel and get into your own quiet space. We all need that in this time and age where everything is like, the cell phone, the iPhone, the this, the that, I think people need to have their quiet time.
I agree. It sounds something like a meditation, but you're stretching as well?
I equate yoga to me it's a moving meditation. It's the physical part of meditation where you get the mind in a quiet space and you distract it doing a movement where you wherever you need to, like maybe release tension or stretch or strengthen, and it keeps your body, not only your mind toned, but your body toned, because it has such an emphasis on the alignment of the spine, and the spine is really the throughway for the whole body. If the spine isn't healthy, it's very hard for the body to be healthy. Well,
it sort of like holds you up.
Absolutely. If your spine is collapsed, it's your frame. Absolutely. It's such an essential part of your well-being, and people are, of all ages are coming to yoga. It's like the biggest growing movement right now. People of all ages in their 50s, 60s are trying yoga, and I teach a beginner's class, and it's such a wonderful enrichment in my life to have people come and say to me, I can't do that. I don't know if I can. And I'm like, listen, as long as you're breathing, you're doing yoga. If I can do it, you can do it. I came to the teaching end of yoga later in life. I've only been teaching for a year, so I'm like, as long as you have the will and the willingness to do it, you can. It's one day at a time. It's a practice, which means you don't have to be good. That's why you do it every day, because you get better at it.
And, acting jobs don't come every single day, so sometimes actors have to supplement their income. Is that what you're doing with the yoga classes?
Absolutely. I'm supplementing my income and my instrument.
There you go.
I need other things in my life to fulfill me. I'm a mother, I'm a partner, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. You live life. If you don't live life, you can't inform your characters with life. You don't stop living just because you're not working as an actor. You need to continue to move forward. A lot of
well, I agree, because how can you be an actor if you don't live life? I mean, how do you just suddenly know how to be a particular character unless you have some kind of emotion connected to life?
Absolutely, and that's my biggest advice to any young actor that's coming up in the industry is don't stop living just because you want to pursue an acting career. That should be your impetus for living. If you want to be an artist, you can't be a painter if you don't see the world, You can't interpret things if you don't go out there and try and understand them.
Well, I saw where you got your SAG card in one day, and that was after you got a role in Miami Vice. Tell me about that.
I did. I've never been one of these people that sits around and waits for people to come and find me or knock on my door, and I always wanted to be an actress, but right after I got out of acting school, I studied at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute in New York. I immediately went out.
That's a prestigious school for actors, isn't it? Wasn't Marlon Brando?
It is, yes. Marilyn Monroe.
So many others.
Yeah, everybody went there. So I wanted to study where all the people that I had respected and my role models, or the people that inspired me. And so I wanted to study there. And as soon as I got out, I was like, I'm not going to sit around and study forever. I need to work. I need to make money. And I had been living in Florida for a couple of years, and a friend of mine said, well, I'm a manager, and I can help you work. And he sent me as an extra on the set of Miami Vice, and that was the first time I ever stepped on a film set, period. I didn't know anything. And it was a big casino scene, and they were still casting a few speaking roles. And the casting director at the time was walking around the set looking for, they needed to cast this one particular role. She was a guest star, and she played a pivotal role because she was a mislead in the episode. The episode was about this guy who was like a serial killer. He was killing all these prostitutes. And I played a prostitute on the show. Women on Miami Vice were always whores. So, but, I saw the casting director, and she was, like, walking around picking very specific girls, and I couldn't understand why she wouldn't consider me. So I just, ignorance is bliss. I tapped her on the shoulder, and I said, excuse me, I would love to read for that role. And she looked at me with this indignant, look on her face, and she was like, okay. And I went in front of the producer, John Nicolella, who was actually directing that particular episode, and I read with him, and he bugged me. He was like, she's the one, and that was it. So I went from extra to guest star in like half an hour, and I got my SAG done in the same day.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yes, I believe in being proactive. You can't wait around for things to happen to you. Sometimes you need to, let your energy and your force push it out there, and put your will out into the universe. You are what you say you are.
Well, I think that you are a co-creator with the divine, but you have to believe that.
Absolutely. You have to believe it wholeheartedly. Nobody, becomes president if they don't believe that they have that power within them. You have to envision it, and once you envision it, you need to put it into action.
I agree. Well, that's my motto. Take your will, apply it to your intent, taking it to action, believing.
Absolutely. That's the only thing that anything's ever accomplished in the world. And you also have to, to keep at it. You have to be persistent. You have to be tenacious, because you will fail. You will. Life is a series of failures and, subsequent accomplishments. It's like you keep moving forward until you move to the next step,
Well, if you observe life, don't you think there's a polarity? There's always a negative and a positive, but neither one are bad or good. They're just forces that help you learn, because I think this is like a place of lessons. Well, you're a student and you're an actor. You're on the stage of your life, and you're a student studying life.
Wow, that's beautifully said. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I definitely invoke in my classes is that. And the whole spirituality behind yoga is that life is full of tragedy and full of happiness. So we're just observers of that. We have to take the good and the bad and just live through it. We can't own it. You know what I'm saying? You don't own your pain and your grief. It's just something that happens. We don't necessarily control it, but we don't need to judge it.
Exactly. I think it's how you perceive. Everything is how you perceive in life. If you're looking at it just like, what is this lesson I have to learn? Because you know that you ride a wave. Everything in life has energy, and it's waves. So you just ride the wave, and you get out of it what you have to get out of it. But I think that every negative opens up a compassionate heart, if that's the kind of person you are, and that's what you're here to do, is love.
Exactly. And also without that opposite, without the tragedy and the things that sometimes wound us, we don't learn compassion. We don't have a path to healing others as well, because you have to have that you have to understand. If you live just a life of happiness and bliss, and how can you understand suffering, and not just your own suffering? You need to be able to hold up the other people when in their times of need.
I agree, and so you have to go through that suffering in order to understand.
Absolutely. And you always come, once you get through that point in your life, I believe that through your light, your enlightenment, or your God, whatever you believe in, you always come out on the other side wiser for it.
I agree. Now, speaking of that, a compassionate heart, are you involved in any humanitarian pursuits? What I would like to do very soon when I get back to LA is set up. I've been working on translating my yoga class and my practice into Spanish, because that's another thing that I feel that the ethnic community is not really spoken to so much in terms of yoga, because if you're Catholic, you attach religion to yoga, and it's not really religion, it's a spirituality. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to offer free classes in Spanish for the... Well, you're back, so I guess you dropped away? My phone decided it was done. I know how that is. Well, we don't have a lot of time left in the show, so I wanted to find out if there's a website or something that you want to share with the audience. Absolutely. I produced with my partner this really lovely little comedy that he wrote and directed called Silver Lake Video, the movie. I do a really great job in the movie. My friends, Mark Christopher Lawrence and Scott Krinsky from Chuck, they're my co-stars on Chuck. They are also in the film. They lent their fabulous talents to it. You can rent it off the website at silverlakevideothemovie.com. And definitely come out and see The Wedding. The movie's called The Wedding now, not The Big Wedding. They've changed the title quite a few times, so we're at The Wedding at this point. Oh, we're at The Wedding. Okay, and that, I understand, is going to be filmed in Connecticut, the latter part of it. Yes, we shot, all of it was shot in Connecticut. So we're almost done. There's just actually this week, and then we're done. We're wrapped on the 22nd, and this fabulous experience will come to a close, but it will all be on the screen, and I really think it's going to be a dynamite film. So I was very blessed to be a part of it. Well, we're looking forward to it. And is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to say before we end the show? No, I think you've been such a lovely host, and thank you so much for opening up your heart to me and being so gracious. And, I applaud you for doing what you're doing. We need more women out there, proactive. Tell me about it. Taking charge.